Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you to the committee. Thank you especially to Jana and Maria Lynn. And thank you so much for inviting me into this important community. I've already made new friends, and I think it's very important to stick together in these times. To us in the office, every site represents an opportunity. It's not a threat, it's an opportunity. And the way we work is that a little clue a site can give back can actually inform the architecture. Ideally, we would like the site to create the architecture. So discussing the context or the context around every site is not only the physical context, is not only the geological or climatic, biological context. It's also about the more the narratives, the memories, the emotional content that is in a site or around a site. We try to extract and enhance and communicate and underline the uniqueness in each site. And by doing that, we hope to give awareness to the humans that are around it. We don't think that human beings and nature are opposed, but we think that we should work in sites that are irreplaceable in a way so we give awareness to the irreplaceability of a site. So today, I will take you on a small journey to 4 different sites. Most of them are landscapes, but we think that the urban sites are just as important, have just as much uniqueness, but this is kind of the theme today. So we start in Greenland, in the Ilulissat Icefjord, the Ilulissat Icefjord Center. And Ilulissat is a town on the west coast of Greenland. It's 250 kilometers north of the Arctic Circle, and this is truly an Arctic climate. Greenland is 4 times the size of France. Most of it is covered by ice on the inner part of Greenland, by the ice cap, and 56,000 inhabitants that are scattered around on the edges of Greenland on the east coast and the west coast. The purpose of the Icefjord Center is to communicate the importance of ice, climate change, and also the Greenlandic culture. The center sits between the UNESCO protected Icefjord and the small town of Ilulissat. Ilulissat is the second largest town in Greenland, 5,000 inhabitants and 3,500 dogs, sledge dogs, and you understand why, because this is a way of mobility in this place. The Icefjord is protected by UNESCO because it has it's a unique phenomenon. Icebergs are carving off the glacier of the ice cap, and these icebergs are slowly moving towards the Disco Bay. And because of a ridge in the bottom of the Icefjord, they pack and they create this amazing landscape, both summer and winter. So the glacier is the most productive glacier you have, and it's always been producing icebergs. There's about 43 cubic kilometers of ice carving off every year. But the thing is now, after climate change, the edge of the glacier has been withdrawing dramatically. So this is also the place that you go to see with your own eyes the effects of climate change. So This place has also been the human settlement 4,500 years back, and you can hardly imagine how you can actually live in this harsh climate, especially 4,500 years ago. But there's remains of settlements here, which is also part of the UNESCO protection. So when we started doing the concept for this building, one of the most important things was that we could create a building that was not just an exhibition, not just a cultural center, but also a place that was non-programmed, you could say, that was open to everybody. So you, in a way, create a space that the inhabitants themselves can decide what to use to. So what we did was to prolong the building in each end to create shelter. So when you walk in this, in the nature or in the area, you have the ability to get shelter from the wind on your way out to the UNESCO Icefjord Park, or on your way back to the city or to the town, and then working with the roof as a possibility, a passage, a way of underlining the beauty of the place and creating, in a way, a gateway between civilization and wilderness. So, in winter and summer, of course, the center is open both seasons. There's 100,000 tourists coming to Greenland every year. Most of them are coming to Ilulissat to see the ice fjord. Creating this place and to make it function winter and summer, one of the things that is very important to know is, of course, how snow is drifting in the wind. There's snow here from September until the end of May, and you have to be very aware of how the snow is drifting, because it can actually build very high mountains around a house, so you can actually not use it in the winter time. So studying this building and the shape of the building in wind tunnel with potato flower to understand how the snow would drift around the building was one of the important things that we did before actually ending up with the design. And as you could see here, making this boomerang shape is not only helping the view from the interior of the building towards the ice fjord, it's also actually working as almost like a wing, so the wind will blow the facades clean from snow. Cantilevering the building, again, important to be able to see the ice fjord while you move through the building, but also to be able to keep the meltwater underneath the building and to drain it towards the lake. So the reference here is not a local building culture. A lot of the Greenlandic buildings are in a way imported from Norway or Denmark, but there's a culture for tools, for hunting tools, and for kayaks, boats. So the idea is, in a way, that we're not trying to make a replica of a Greenlandic building culture, but to resemble, in a way, more like a hunting tool. So the building is not landscape; it's more a tool. Also, the Greenlandic bedrock is the oldest on Earth. So, in a way, to be a little bit humble towards time and to create a building that is much more temporary in the expression. So the interior of the building is also open space. It's not. There's a cafe. There's a big open exhibition space, and there's some offices for the ranger for the park. But we try always to keep the buildings as unprogrammed as possible, because we never know how the future will look, and it should be possible to change whatever is going on inside the building. So creating space for possibilities on the interior. The core of the exhibition is ice cores, which is drilled in the ice cap, and you can actually read history many million years back in these ice cores, which is quite amazing. The roof of the building is, I think, one of the most important things to us, and to keep that out of the you try to save money and the way you work, so keeping the roof clean and not actually losing it during the process was one of the most important things, because this roof is kind of open opportunity, and this is the space where everybody can enter. You don't have to pay a ticket to get in, but it's part of the landscape, it's part of the community. So, and it's really in use, so people will move up over the roof, and they will discover the ice fjord for the first time when you get to the top of the roof. So you move up and you pass that gate in a way between civilization and the and the ice fjord park, and you move up onto the other side, and you are in the wilderness. And it's been so locally, the local community has really used this roof. They are starting to get married on top of this roof, and I think that's quite touching, because it's really part of the community and the daily life to use this roof, and that wasn't really intentional, only to keep an open space for everybody. Keeping these shelters in each end also creates the opportunity to have a cultural center that is in more relationship to the exterior, and in more and more the center is being used also as a local cultural center, and everything is going on inside on top of the building or in the covers. So as you see, winter is tough, but it's still, there's a lot of activity around the building, and it's in a way sort of a beacon in the cold when you move from the ice fjord park to the town. Dark, of course, very beautiful summer nights and very dark winters from 30th of November until 12th of January. There's no sun, and now the place and the roof is actually a place where you could celebrate the sun's coming back for 40 minutes on the 12th of January. But of course, Northern Lights during the winter is amazing, and more tourists are actually discovering this. So part of the tourist life is to actually to see phenomena like this. Yeah. So the interior is created like a cave. You take off your shoes and all your clothes, and you move into the center. The cafeteria is open, and all different kinds of things are going on in here, as a sort of local cultural thing to more events, and everything is sort of created from day to day almost. So from one Arctic to the other Arctic place, Norway, 300 kilometers actually above the Arctic Circle, but in a very different climate because you have the Gulf Stream here, so the waters are not freezing in the wintertime, and you have actually trees above the tree line here. The well is a building that celebrates both culturally and artistically and scientifically the life of the well. And the reason this is relevant in this place is because of the sea bottom, and many of the very big wells, they need deep diving to feed. So they will dive like 1,500 meters down to get octopus and so forth. And one of these valleys or sea valleys are going very close to the island of Andøya, which is north of Lofoten, on the Norwegian coast. So these enormous and amazing animals you're able to see going out on a boat very close to the coast. So it's a place where you study whales, both scientifically, but also lots of tourists are coming here to go on whale safari. So the competition site is this small peninsula on the small island of Andøya, and the program was almost covering the whole island. So what we thought would be important was, in a way, to give back again what we took, and to make the whole building part of the crust of the earth, you could say. So the idea that you have the ocean bottom and the land is in a way only divided by the sea, or the surface of the sea, and everything is connected. So the idea that almost like a giant is incising a knife underneath the crust of the earth, and you lift up the crust, and you have this continuation between the roof of the building and the sea bottom. So quite organic shapes, and the interior of the building is creating these small caves for exhibitions, so you have both daylight and darkness. We've been very thorough to ensure that there's no base on this building, that is really the crust of the earth that is lifted up, and you get very close to the sea when you're inside the building. So the landscape of the island is, in a way, also the floor of the building. So being in this close contact to the sea, and in a way also again creating a beacon in the Arctic in the wintertime. So the interior exhibition needs both daylight and darkness, of course, but you have the possibility of always relating to the landscape and to the sea where the whales have their natural habitat. And then again, giving back the site that we took when we built the building, and creating a new plaza, a new possibility, a new community space from where you can gather, and you could also, of course, just watch the sea. So going to Denmark, the Wadden Sea Center, which is again a UNESCO protected area. It's protected because the low sea bottom has a very great change in the water, and there's a. Okay, I didn't know. No, and the rise and the fall of the water will create a lot of food on the sea bottom. So you will feed birds and seals right here. So it's part of the. Actually, I didn't know this film was coming. But as you see here, the beautiful area. But what actually happens here is that if you didn't have the Wadden Sea, all the migrating birds going from the north to Africa and back again in the seasons wouldn't have a place to feed. So they will kind of fly. They would fly for 6 weeks, and they will feed for 6 weeks, and they will fly again for 6 weeks here. So when they come and when they leave, this phenomenon with what we call in Danish black sun, I think is called starling magic. You have these formations on the sky when you have a predator that are after the birds, and people come here to see that phenomenon in the fall and in the spring. So it's in a way very much an outskirts of Denmark. And even though Denmark is a very small country and Copenhagen is a quite small town, the countryside and the edges and the outskirts of Denmark are really somehow also suffering for work and for people are more and more moving into the cities. So creating new activities and also creating new jobs in these areas is of course important. The area here is also old Viking area, so Ribe is the old Viking merchant town, and the Vikings would build on little almost islands in this very low landscape, and they would use the reeds or the straw as cladding on the roofs, and they would use they would use clay or earth as the wall. So in a way, reading this landscape and reading this this place, we thought it would be natural in a way to work with the reeds. You can harvest them close by, and they work really, really well with the salt in the air. That is actually preserving the reeds. So both historically, but also sort of technically, the reeds work really well. So what was there was already as a building from the 90s, 1990s, and we had to extend this exhibition for the migrating birds together with this existing building. And of course, transformation is the most sustainable thing you could do, and keeping as much as possible of the existing is important. So we had to create this entrance in a way in the corner of the building, and we decided to embrace the existing building to make a new, larger sort of overscaled farmhouse in the typology of the area. So using the reeds on the roof and on the walls or the facades to create this one singular mass, almost with the old Viking technique, and also the kind of technique you use for roofs in the area, which is handcrafted, and you actually push the reeds into place. You don't cut them because it's not very smart technically either, because then they become like straws that will take up the water. So creating these horizontal or diagonal lines is also helping the wind, because the wind will move over the roofs, and you can create these interior protected spaces. And of course, one of the beautiful thing about being in a countryside that has so much water and not a lot of forest is that the light will change all the time, and you have this reflection from the sky and from the sea. And of course, creating relationships between interior and exterior. But I think one of the more important things is that you're creating a place from where you could depart, meaning that you're actually creating a meeting point in this place, and you can collect all sorts of different communities here, and you can teach them about the Wadden Sea here. So they have 400 trips out into the Wadden Sea every year. And in that sense, I think that is one of the more important things about the center, is to creating this meeting place. The last one is sadly quite relevant in these days. It's a memorial for Babi Yar in Kiev, which is strangely unmemorized, you could say. It's one of the biggest and most horrific events during the Second World War. 33,000 Jews were killed within 2 days and thrown into this ravine outside Kiev. And later on, the Russian soldiers in the war prisoners were forced to bury these bodies, and during the whole period until 45, it's estimated that about 100,000 people is buried in this ravine, Babi Yar. So, trying to cover up the crimes, a lot of the ravine was actually reordered, you could say, and there was also an accident with a clay factory that actually covered the whole ravine. So, creating a memorial of this place where the basis or the landscape is in a way gone, and there's no memory on site. So what we did in this forest that has no signs of the crimes that happened, we decided to create an abstract of a ravine, a way of a ditch or a gorge to move into and to, in a way, re-experience the movement and the darkness of the time. So working with the earthwork, of course, with natural stones from the around Kiev areas, and then creating the movement as part of the experience of moving into the memorial center and the exhibitions. And of course, creating spaces for reflection, but also try to, in a way, to create a movement that ends up in a more optimistic way. But I think the whole reflection part of the building was of great importance. And then moving up into the bright daylight and ending your journey here. Thank you so much.